Good evening and welcome to Thai PBS World Tonight. Thai opposition MPs are calling for special session in the parliament on COVID-19. In the Thai PBS World Tonight, Kun Thepchai and me talk to Move Forward party leader and listen to his proposal on how the government should cope with COVID-19, especially on the government budget.
Peter, as you know that starting this Sunday, some semblance of normalcy will return to the country. You can go out for dining and do some limited shopping, to do some outdoor exercises. But the more stringent shutdown measures, such as the state of emergency and the curfew, still remains. So do you think that the relaxation of some of the shutdown measures announced by the government today are enough and to reopen the economy and lessen the hardships suffered by the people?
Well, I think we have to strike the balance between public health and economy. While I understand government's focus on preventing the second spread of COVID-19, nonetheless, I have been hearing heartbreaking stories of hope postponed, of assistance canceled, and dreams shattered from all walks of life, be it a mother of a child looking for milk for her children, or a veteran who just lost their jobs in their 40s and 50s, or a newly graduate first-time entrepreneur opening a restaurant with days of cash flows left. I mean, the crisis is real, and not just in papers or not just some statistics. Definitely, it shows the immediate pain and fragility of our social fabric, but also it reveals a structural issue of our institutions incapable of responding to our citizens' needs. And that's why there's a need to enable the legislature to continue to function in the midst of the global health emergency.
And so far, what do you like to propose to the government in terms of trying to alleviate all the financial difficulty for people?
I mean, in times like this, the role of Parliament in a meaningful and functional democracy is extremely essential. And that's why we have publicly asked for an ad hoc parliamentary session for a few reasons. I think first is to amplify the voice of the marginalized, and that margin is pretty big. Hopefully that we have some of that we can be voice of the voiceless, so that the government can hear them. And second is to speed up the Ramadan budget to help those who are affected by the government lockdown measures. And third is to check, challenge, and to approve the budget of the government, providing vital oversight and transparency for each legislative body. As I mentioned above, we want to speed up the processes of the budget that needs to be sped up, but also to debate about checks and balances of those initiatives that are in midterm or long term. In short, to be crisp and concise, the government initiative and action need to be faster, easier, and more comprehensive. And we'll talk about that a little bit later of what our party proposes.
Yeah. So, but it's quite clear that the government has not responded positively to the proposal for an extraordinary House session. So what would be the alternative for the voice of the opposition, the politicians, to be heard?
It's still an ongoing effort. I mean, yes, you are right, that the government declined the request, and the Constitution stipulates that we require 1/3 of the Parliament's number of MPs and senators, and that number is 246 to my recollection. And our party, Move Forward Party, all of our 54 MPs have signed the request for the ad hoc session. Still waiting for the remaining headcounts, but the question is still, what do we go from here? But as of now, we are hitting the streets. My job is not just in the parliament, it's also outside the parliament. So I haven't been working from home. I've been responsibly hitting the streets, hearing stories from people who lost their jobs and the owner of small SME companies, to match that to the budget that the government has proposed. So that's why we were pushing so hard for that ad hoc parliamentary session so that we could debate, we could discuss, we could speed things up that needs to be sped up, and we could talk about things in a more prudent way, because the laws and the loans that were passed, the deadline is September next year.
But how do you see the prospect of the proposal for the extraordinary House session by the opposition materializes? Do you think see any hope of the government finally agreeing to have it?
No, the government was clear. So like I explained to you, there's two ways. The government could do it themselves, or we need 1/3 of the parliamentary votes to open it up. So we've been trying with the opposition parties to do the second part, as well as pressuring the government to do the first part. If both options fail, we will hit the streets and do what we can do in districts that voted for us or not voted for us, to do something like food banks. Hopefully, if they don't get the cash that they deserve, hopefully they still have food or the important priorities in their lives to go on for the next 100 days. That's what we're trying to do, as well as coordinating with local governments to help those in need in times of hardship like this.
คุณพิธา what 100 days you see if we have the same path that the government has been doing right now, and what would you like to see differently, and what's the measure you would like to see different approach to have different scenario in the next 100 days?
In terms of social welfare, I believe the first 3 months the government has done their job, so I'm not going to cause any more confusion with what they've done. But the next 100 days, from month 4 to month 6, we propose universal subsidy to all Thais, regardless of whether there will be a pandemic or no pandemic. People are suffering. If you're 18 or above, that's about 50 million Thais, you will get 3,000 baht of direct cash transfer. Also, if you have an extra need if you have children, if you have a child or a children that relies on you, you will also get an additional top-up of 1,000 baht. And we have calculated total amount to be 500 billion baht extra, and that will come from next year's normal budget. Next year's normal budget is 3.3 trillion. We have worked with the parliamentary budget committee that there are reshuffling things that are not necessary, that's not immediate. We will settle out that extra 500,000 million so that people can have a transitional period from the month 4 to 6. That's the first part, social welfare part. I feel like it's not enough. It's not fast enough. It's not easy. It's not inclusive enough. For the second part, the public health side, the government has set aside 45,000 million, right? Yeah, million. And I think I want them to focus on 2 or 3 things. The first thing is to prevent a second spread of pandemic of what our neighbors are facing. Singapore is facing, Germany is facing, Hokkaido is facing. So that's probably where the focus or the priority of that budget would be. Second thing that not a lot of people have been discussing, and I want to add and contribute, is national strategic stockpile. We need to know how many ventilators we have. We need to know how many critical equipments that is vital to lives we have, as well as disposable stockpiles such as masks and PPEs and PCRs, so that we can ensure that our capacity of public health is strong enough when we open the economy.
And third stage of coping with COVID-19, according to Kun Pitha, is to have vaccine. to help all the population in Thailand to go out of this COVID-19 situation. And that's all from Thai PBS World Tonight ทั้งหมดคือ